Thank you very much, Asti, and to the BritCham team supporting you. A very warm welcome to everybody that's on this particular webinar. I know that we have the majority of our guests are located in Jakarta in the Southeast Asia time zone. Welcome to you. But appropriate for me to say good morning as well to some of our UK and European visitors to this webinar. I actually personally am still in the UK, awaiting my return to Jakarta, eagerly looking forward to that. This is the BritCham Smart Cities member focus group first webinar of 2021. The group held its inaugural webinar back in October, November of last year. Just a quick mention that the Smart Cities member focus group is a group very, very strictly only available for BritCham members. It's a forum for opportunity to share intelligence and information among each other, but also members definitely have the scope within that group to see opportunities that may help them with their own business development in Indonesia. Smart cities, of course, very much a buzz thing in most countries around the world. And in the case of Indonesia, the group recognized that actually many cities, many provinces have their own versions of what represents smart city, therefore their own visions. However, the group thought it was absolutely appropriate that we would begin with Jakarta in this context. Before I introduce you to our moderator today, just like to say a couple of things. Firstly, thank you very much to South Quarter for being our sponsor on this particular occasion. It's a pleasure to be working with them again for the first time this year. They were a very regular feature in partnership with BritCham during the course of 2020, and we look forward to that relationship sustaining throughout this year. Secondly, some of you may well be more familiar with James Allen leading Smart Cities focus group meetings and the last webinar, of course, last year. James has got the rather feeble excuse of not being able to join us this time. His feeble excuse is that he's rowing the Atlantic as part of a charity thing that he's doing. So he's somewhere across the Atlantic. I'm sure they've got connectivity, and I'm sure that he could have been leading this particular webinar, even if it was sort of a little bit of an undulating camera. I'm sure we all wish him very, very well and success, as I believe they're coming towards the end of this particular challenge that they're embarked on. Good luck, James. With that, I would like to hand you over to our moderator today, Rainer Heufers. Rainer is the Executive Director of the Center for Indonesian Policy Studies in Indonesia, obviously. He's also the founder and managing director of a consulting firm that provides strategic counseling, public policy consulting, leadership training, organizational development, and other services. He's a senior fellow of the Atlas Network from Washington, DC. I'm going to leave you very much in Rainer's hands and just come back to you for a few words to do a wrap and a farewell towards the end. Do hope you enjoy this webinar. There is a Q&A. Do feel free to enter questions in. Some questions have been received in advance, of course, and Rainer will be doing his best to go through as many of those as possible. And where they're similar, no doubt we'll have bundled some of them together as well. So handing you over to Rainer with thanks to Pat Yudhistira and our other panelists from Arup, from PwC. Rainer, the floor is yours, or the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you to the BritCham team. It's a pleasure and an honor to take over from James. I wish him success with his trip, and I'm sure, well, he's definitely safe from COVID. in the middle of the Atlantic. I'm not quite sure whether he's safe in general, but so I hope it will be a success for him. Yeah, let me say a few words about myself. Chris has already introduced me. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Indonesian Policy Studies. For those of you who are not familiar with the organization, we are one of the top 5 Indonesian public policy think tanks. We had about 130,000 paper downloads of our policy papers last year. So that means we're very much in the public domain. We discuss our policy recommendations with the government and in general. And the digital economy has been a core focus, one of the core focus areas of ours, because we strive for supporting economic growth and open market access as a public policy think tank. Inclusivity means a lot to us because that is basically the market access. And this means we're talking about dialogue and co-creation when it comes to economic policy making. And as such, we have organized, many of you may have participated in the Digital Week, week-long conference in mid-2020 with about 1,500 participants. We just finished a webinar today about co-regulation in the digital economy. And now I'm very happy also to moderate this webinar here by BritCham on, again, a related topic, the smart city vision and what is required in terms of co-creation and collaboration to achieve the aims. So coming to the webinar, Jakarta Smart City initiative has been 6 years old by now, 5-6 years old. It wasn't started in 2015. And it's based on this idea of co-creation, that technological applications can actually be created also by others, by the private sector, and serve the aim of helping the development of Jakarta. What we want to do in this webinar here is actually discuss the actual initiative and its plans, and then also identify opportunities that present themselves, and how the private sector can actually contribute to the Jakarta city government's smart city vision. So it's basically what Chris already said just now. We want to make sure, we offer what we have, our initiatives, our technology, our know-how, and contribute this to the development of Jakarta. We're very happy that we have these three distinguished panelists. Our keynote panelist here, our key panelist is Pak Yudhistira Nugraha. He has a PhD from the UK, from Oxford University, which very suitable to our BritCham event today, and has a long career in government, in particular in the Ministry of Information and Communication and Informatics, Cominfo. And now is heading the Jakarta Smart City initiative and the Jakarta Smart City office in the government of Jakarta. He will be speaking for 20 minutes. He has a presentation to share with us. After that, we have 2 other panelists that will share and comment also on what Pak Yudhis has shared earlier. Our first panelist, co-panelist is going to be Pak Leonardi Kawidjaja. Pak Leon is the office leader of Arup in Indonesia. He himself has a 25-year experience in Arup and in the business, and in Indonesia, he has been in many countries, working for Arup in many countries. And in Indonesia, he has supported MRT projects in many ways and other building projects. So he speaks from lots of experience globally, but also in Jakarta. And the other panelist is Pak Widita Sardjono, equally long experience in business, who is currently the lead partner for technology consulting in PwC Indonesia. He has consulted several companies that offer applications and also command centers for smart city initiatives. So he's really also an expert in this area in Indonesia. And Pak Widita will talk about the platforms required to allow government and businesses to get connected, and his experiences with these tools for connecting the public and the private sectors. And last but not least, we have 100 participants, and we know from the registrations that these are also experts. They are representing mostly businesses that have their expertise in particular areas, particular applications. And as Chris already said, we want this to be an engaged discussion. We want to pick up as many questions as we can, but I also understand if we cannot address every question, it's gonna be still collected and shared with the panelists. So hopefully we'll find answers to some of the unanswered questions also later after the webinar. So with this and without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor and the microphone to Pak Yudhis for his presentation about the Jakarta Smart City initiative. Pak Yudhis.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon and good morning for those who live in the UK. It's nice to be here to share about our initiative in Jakarta Smart City. And today I would like to talk about the Building Smart City 4.0 ecosystem platform. I think the notion of smart city very interesting. I think for those, for many people, they say smart city is mostly about technology. I don't think so, but we will discuss later on the next slide. So thank you for BritCham for inviting us to share our initiative. So we do hope that this webinar can give meaningful impact for communities and also for communities in the UK and Indonesia, especially. Okay. Yeah, talking about Jakarta Smart City, I think we look at the Jakarta as the capital city of Republic Indonesia. So, so we have the land area is about 600 kilometers square, and surprisingly, and 10 times it's a sea area. It's more than 6,000 kilometers square. So in terms of the population, Jakarta is a big city. Is a populated city. We have more than 10 million people living resident in Jakarta. And in terms of the highest density, the Jakarta is the highest density in Indonesia. Is around 15,000 people each kilometer square. So Jakarta as a old city is from Sunda Kelapa, from Jayakarta, and until now. So of course, as a big city, as the capital city of Republic Indonesia, the waste production is around 700 tons per day. And in terms of the number of vehicles, so we have 13.3 million motorcycle and 3.5 million car. So this is just about number, but I think there's some number can also have has an opportunity. For example, we're looking at the number of vehicle, so there's an opportunity to see about the taxes and other things. So this is just overview. So talking about smart city or Jakarta smart city is not about technology. Smart city is about people and process. The smart city is about people connecting to the people. So a smart city is not only about the government. Smart city is about how the government interact with citizens. So if you see on the slide, the city evolution. So there is a journey of the city, smart city development can be divided into 4 generations. As a one generation, a first generation is city 1.0. So the role of citizen as a resident and the role of government as administrator. So the approach is sort of like a business as usual, the interaction between government and citizen kind of like socialization. Next to the next level, City 2.0. City 2.0 means that city that view technology as the mainstream in the smart city development, the role of the government as the service provider, and the role of the citizen as the customer. So the interaction is about consultation, and the approach is mostly about the technology driven. Let's say, for example, many cities in, I would say in Indonesia or in the world, if they want to investing, if they want to invest a smart city, they start with building a common center, they started building CCTV uh, uh, to, to, to see that the city are smarter. But not only that, so it's about how the value of smart city can give many impact to the society, for example, quality of life, economic growth, and so forth. But I think in the city 2.0, so it's mostly about the technology driven. And the next city evolution is the city 3.0, the role of citizens as the participants and the government as the facilitator. Just forget to stopwatch. And in this context, it's more about the user-centered approach and the technology-enabled procedure. In this kind of process, so there's a more value about the use of technology to support the process. And the city 4.0, this is context. We see that the problem in the city, for example, in Jakarta, is not only is done by government. This can be done by our society. So in this context, City 4.0 means that building smart city is not about building technology, it's about building the ecosystem. Therefore, in the City 4.0, we as a government, we are a collaborator and the citizen as co-creator. It means that we see that all the problem is not only it's not government responsible, but can be shared with our citizen, our co-creator. In this context, our approach is more about open, user-driven approach, process, and operational transformation. And so, so then, what is smart city? So smart city is depend on who you ask. If you ask smart city to service provider, for example, they may say something about anything that related to technology. Let's say, for example, smart parking, smart lighting, and anything that is about technology. But when you ask smart city to city official, they may say something that related to e-government, digital government, anything that related to the effort to make it less bureaucracy and so forth and so forth. But when you ask smart city to citizen, for example, I don't think they care about the notion of smart city. They only care about whether or not they are able to go run the city easily, they can get job easily, and so forth and so forth. So in this context, smart city is not about technology. Smart city is not about the building the fancy stuff, but a smart city is about people, it's about process, it's about how people connecting to people, it's about citizen participation and so forth and so forth. But in this context, we define smart city into two notions or two concepts. One is innovative city and the second is happiness. So innovative city means that the city uh, must grow according to the city problem and the user need. And the second concept about the happiness is the happiness is the outcome of the smart city. So basically these two concepts is in line with our governor vision and mission. In Bahasa we call maju kotanya, bahagia warganya. So looking at this kind of like the ecosystem that we going to develop in Jakarta. So Smart City 4.0 ecosystem platform. So in this platform, so we see that citizen as a co-creator and the government as a collaborator. So citizen including academia, media, industry, business, investor, and other government, how this ecosystem can achieve vision and mission Jakarta by using technologies, innovation, and collaboration. When we're talking about the technologies, it's just one of the core elements. It's not the main element. Technologies, we have cloud, big data, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and blockchains. And then innovation is innovation not only about the technology, is innovation about the regulation, smart regulation. It's about financing, creative financing, and so forth and so forth. And the collaboration. Collaboration means that the problem not only be done by the government, but can be shared with our co-creators. So we need to establish the the collaborative ecosystem in Jakarta. So looking at these some use cases, the city problem, for example, road congestion, medical services, parking space, flooding, waste management, recycling, and pollution, school education. So how the technology, innovation, and collaboration and the ecosystem can understand the city problem and can address the city problem and then can understand the citizen need. So by using this, by doing this, so we hoping that so we achieve what we call smart city, so innovative city and the happy citizen. So in order to do that, so we build this framework, what we call Smart City 4.0 framework. So this framework can be divided into two M's. Two M means are innovative city and happiness that we discussed before. And talking about smart city, it's not only about technology. Smart city has a value objective. So we define three value objective. One is a quality of life. So when we're talking about the implementing smart city, we have to think about the value objective, quality of life. The second value objective is about the economic growth, and the third value objective about sustainable environment. And so, and the next is about, we have four principle. Four principle is a basic, is a foundation, what we're doing now in Jakarta Smart City. So the four principle, basically our core value, our core principle is represented what we're doing now in Jakarta Smart City. The first principle is mobile first. Mobile first means that, why mobile first? Because we want to reach end user. We want to reach a citizen as easy as possible. So we want to deliver better services to the citizen. Therefore, we want to create all the services can be accessed easily through mobile devices, because most of Jakarta citizen, basically Jakartan, according to the statistic, they have mobile devices. And the second principle about the system and data driven. System and data driven means that we want to establish digital leadership. It means that all decision making process is based on the data. And the second principle is about digital experience. Digital experience is part of the digital transformation. As we mentioned that smart city is not about technology. Smart city is about people. People connecting to the people, like IoT. When we're talking about the IoT, Internet of Things, it's not about internet. It's about devices connecting to the internet. And there's the fourth principle about smart collaboration. Smart collaboration means that, so we want to establish the ecosystem. So we want to establish the ecosystem, the ecosystem platform uh, to to solve all the city problem together with our co-creator. And we have 5 co-creators in academic term, normally like pentaholic and so forth and so forth. And our co-creator, academic, citizen community, media, business, industry, investor, and other government. And we have 6 outcomes. It's about our outcome. One is equitable, inclusive, and positive, safety data, safe and comfortable, eco-friendly and livable, accountable and trusted, and the economic impact, and the 7 indicator. So we have 7 indicator to see that we are on the right track. So we have smart people, smart economy, smart environment, smart mobility, smart governance, smart living, and the smart branding. And this is our work plan. It's kind of like a roadmap or work plan in 2022. So we divided into 4 principles: mobile first, system and data driven, digital experience, and the smart collaboration. Talking about the mobile first, there is some initiative that we been developed now is kind of like a government platform. It's a government as a service platform. So we built Jaki as a platform, kind of is similar like Gojek, Grab. They develop a platform, a Gojek platform or Uber platform. As a government, we also develop a government as a service platform. We have a Jaki. We are building a single sign-on. It's about citizen accounts, so it means that people can see that whether or not they're eligible to get the incentive from the government, or whether or not they are eligible to get a funding or anything, something like that. And also, we also want to integrate about the mobile payment and digital identity. And the system and data driven, as I mentioned, that we are building digital leadership, means that so we provide the live dashboard and anything to our leaders, our management. So we also want to build city as a hub, it's a data hub, because when we're talking about smart city, so data as an asset, but data without context is useless. Therefore, we need the people. So we first of all, we need to build the data hub. When we have the data, we can create services, and we have services, we need a platform, and so forth and so forth. And the third principle about digital experience is about digitalization, digital talents, citizen design experience, and the last principle is smart collaboration. One of our initiative this year is building open innovation hub. It's kind of like we're working together with the European Commission to build the innovation hub, the future city hub in Jakarta. It represents the collaborative ecosystem. It represents sandbox ecosystem. We build the sandbox. So sandbox means that we provide a platform for a problem owner and problem solver to see to address the city problem or any problem, any related problem. So I would like
just quickly remind you, 4 minutes left. So that
yeah. Okay, just a quick one. It's the mobile first, as mentioned that. So these are our principles about mobile first. As we provide a variety of service that can be easy access to integrated platform, one-stop services. And also as system and data driven, as I mentioned that. So Jakarta Smart City support the government of Jakarta policy intervention based on the data. So we also support any kind of the COVID-19 intervention and other database policies. And we hope also digital experience. Digital experience is not about it's part of the digital transformation. When we're talking about digital transformation, not only about the technology, it's also about people and process. And smart collaboration. To implement Smart City 4.0, we are collaborating with many co-creators. As regional service agency, we have flexibility in managing collaboration with other parties, and in terms of creative financing, right now we are building the public-private partnership to serve better services to the citizen. And as I mentioned that, we also present a collaborative sandbox scheme that to provide a space for discussion between the government and the technology company to provide innovation to solve various city problems. And this is kind of like a innovation hub, living lab, as a living lab. And of course, when we're talking about the living lab, innovation hub, and we see that how we implement smart city. Smart city is not about technology, yes, but it's about people connecting to people. But at the end, but at the first time, we need to build the data, smart city as a data. When we have data, we can build the services. Let's say, for example, as we can we can provide the API services. So therefore, we can create the platform. Smart city as a platform. Jakarta has created digital platform, what we call Jaki, that are ready to be used for city co-creators. And when we have a platform, we also want to integrate various data platform from Gojek, Grab to be integrated as a hub. And at the end, building smart city is a building the ecosystem. Of course, when we want to build the ecosystem, we also think about how we build new business model for smart city ecosystem instead of depending on the financial restriction. And this kind of like the player in the platform ecosystem. So this example, so Pemprov DKI Jakarta, the government of Jakarta own Jaki. Jaki is Jakarta as a service, Jakarta platform. So basically is provided by Jakarta Smart City. So we want to, Jaki as a platform, all the application features not only developed by the government, but also developed by our co-creator. So the customer, which is citizen, can consume all the features listed or provided in Jaki as a platform. And this kind of like a Jaki as a collaborative ecosystem, we build a Jaki with citizen design services by using design thinking and problem solving. And this kind of like one of our mission is about accelerating digital transformation, enhancing digital government services. The way government work is also about the digital based new revenue stream. And the last slide is about Jaki as a government platform. We won the competition Indonesia Entrepreneur TIK as the first winners. Will be compete in the ASEAN ICT award this year. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Yudhis. Very comprehensive, to the point. I'm sure there will be lots of questions, and I'm pretty sure that both panelists are happy to be able to respond. We go straight away to Pak Leonardi Kawidjaja. The floor is yours, Pak Leon.
Sorry. Thank you, Rainer. Yes, I think that's a very good presentation. And I'm really happy that the Jakarta Smart City has been evolving very well in the past 5 and 6 years. And coming from a consultancy background, I would like to have some input, especially coming from the built environment side and the data processing side of the Smart City program. So the objective to have an innovative and happy living that ties in really well with built environment, because people live there in the city. And so the Jakarta Smart City initiative will aim on 6 pillars, right? The smart living, smart people, smart mobility, and followed by smart economy and smart environment. So I would also like to pick up on the last slide from Pak Yudhis, which is about accelerating digitalization. The Jaki apps, it's really, really a good collaborative tool. It provides various government services and data streams, citizen relationship management, all the good stuff of collaborative work. That, however, creates a huge data lake. You get data from IoT sensors, you get data from the application, you get data from video streams, and huge data from BIM and GIS spatial data. And what do we need to do with this data, right? It has to be made useful. There are light data and dark data. We have to make them useful for the decision makers. And also, this data should be continuously managed, and it should be continuously maintained, up to date, and analyzed, and presented in such a way so it's meaningful for the decision makers, for the governor and his officers. So data analysis is traditionally historic, but technology is now here. It's available to conduct predictive analysis and also do automation based on machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is there, and it's a tool that can be used. So basically, this will change how the government works, right? And this will also open different opportunities to both public and private sector on basically what do we do with this huge data. So coming from a built environment perspective, on a smart city, smart economy, and smart environment, technology is available for smart buildings where you can combine Internet of Things, BIM spatial data, and machine learning analytics, where a centralized management console will collect and analyze data from different building systems and equipments, so to inform, design, manage, and maintenance, so the building can achieve smart environment, energy savings, so it can contribute to the citywide goals on smart environment. And imagine if this can be scaled to every household in Jakarta, the impact of the environment is really great. And it will also improve the health and well-being of people who lives in the building or working in the building, etc. And the other application of data and spatial data, video stream, predictive analysis, and machine learning is on mobility, traffic, pedestrian analysis. So there are technologies available that can conduct crowd distribution and density analysis. So we can have an optimized comprehensive operation strategy for, pedestrian flows, traffic, direction, density of crowd can be detected through video analytics. So we have video stream, we can identify how many people are there. So any advanced operation can be conducted to avoid security incident if there is a potential for overwhelming crowd, for example. And CCTV cameras are everywhere in Jakarta. This is the next step on it. It can be fitted with facial recognition capabilities, and for security purposes, compare it with police database. So if there are suspicious personnel, it can be detected and avoid incidents that can endanger public safety. And also take it a little bit further for road management. Even an AI video analytics can identify vehicle license plate, and not just for ETLE, but actually if we can send message directly to the car, to the driver, say to warn over speed phenomenon, and the control center operator can also receive notifications if there is an abnormal incident is detected, alert the police, alert the emergency services, etc. in an automatic way, which is improve services to people who lives in the city. So I guess my take out from this is that well, in smart city, the technology has no limit. It's there. Data maintenance, data management, analysis, and visualization are the key for any data-driven decision making and reshape how the government works. Of course, this will require coordination across the collaborators, communities, and it will require funding. It will require infrastructure, and it will require skills building. So it opens opportunities on investments and collaborations with communities, private and public sectors. yeah, I think that's what we can say on Smart City initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you very much. Very interesting contribution. We go straight away to Widita to get his comments and his presentation as well.
Thank you, Rainer. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for hosting this wonderful event. And thank you very much, Yudhistira, for sharing the vision for Smart City Jakarta. I think that was an excellent presentation, and we're very happy to see that a lot of progress has been made there. So I think in this occasion here, my name is Widita Sardjono. I'm a PwC partner in technology consulting, and what I think we can I would like to contribute in here in the conversation is to focus on the collaboration aspect of the smart city. Okay. So this slide here is what we have seen from Yudhistira. Actually, we're talking about smart city 4.0, where the defining element of this element is the collaboration. The city government as collaborator and people as co-creators. The big question is how. Right? That is the most difficult part. It's not the technology part. How do we get the collaboration? Especially in this context here, how do we get the collaboration with the private sectors? Right? With the private sectors, there are other collaboration with university, with not-for-profit. That's different aspects of it. I would like to probably contribute some thoughts from PwC about the private sector collaboration with the government in context of smart city. So what we have observed from our experience helping governments globally is we say there are three tiers in the collaboration. So tier 1 is the traditional contracting structure between the public entities and private sectors. That's a tier 1. That's business as usual. Tier 2 is getting a bit more, which is the contracting allows for additional services above the traditional contract. Now, tier 3 is what is really required for a deep collaboration, which is development of the digital ecosystem. And this is what also Yudhistira has been talking about, that's the vision for Jaki. Let me elaborate a little bit more on this. So this is a bit more on the description about these 3 tiers. Tier 1, as I said, is traditional contracting structure. If Jakarta City needs smart street lighting, they will open a tender, and the participant of the tender will give the price, and they will be contracted. And it's done. It stops. Right? Stops there. A second step is the tier 2, where the contracting follows the public-private partnership. Right? This allows for a much richer service, right? And much more potentially much more beneficial to all stakeholders, be it the government, be it the private sector, and also the public. However, the example here is it's a fully managed smart street lighting network, right? Delivered in a PPP contract. So that means the government is not the one who's operating it. It's the private sector that's operating it. However, this type of contract is typically very complex, and typically it's only one player is actually allowed to play in that contract. The party with the public-private partnership. Now, the third step here is how can we get to the next step, where it is allowing creating a digital ecosystems whereby it's not just one party that will benefit in this contracting, but it allows for a smaller smaller players that can come in and participate in this network. An example is if that smart street lighting network there is then connected to the cloud platform, and that platform becomes open, and then people can come in and put in a more value add on top of that. So that is the three patterns of contracting that we see. Now, how to get to the third tier? It requires a different mindset. That's the key, right? From the government side and also from the private companies. From the government side, of course, they have the possible roles of purchaser or co-investors, and they do also have the role of the regulator and protector, data owner. And number 5 is a lot of times they own and operate the technology infrastructure and platform. Now, some of these roles may be in conflict of the mindsets required to open up this ecosystem, and broaden the potential benefits to citizens. On the other hand, from private companies, if the private companies come still with the mindset of selling to government or sell with government, then it's difficult to move into the third tier. So in tier 2, already it's sharing revenues. That's one step, sharing intellectual properties and risk. And tier 3 requires some creative engagement with governments and coming up with an ecosystem rather than individual companies there. So I think that's just the contribution or some thoughts that we would like to share in this. Hopefully it adds to the conversation this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Widita. I think we had 3 very good, concise presentations. Everyone very short, which is great, gives us time. And I was also told, at least by the organizers, if we don't make a hard stop at 5, a few more minutes would be okay. If that works with the panelists, then we can also do that. Now, when BritCham has invited to this webinar, people were also able to contribute questions already before the webinar. So we have a few that were sent in before we started, and we also have others that came in later. I'd like to get started with a question that brings in some questions from before and others that I read here now. I can see from Yudhistira, your presentation, you said mobile first. I mean, you have to start somewhere. And so you said our first focus was on mobile first. And data obviously needs to come, but maybe after we have the initiative on the mobile. But now we're also struggling from the whole COVID-19 pandemic, which is affecting our life everywhere. So a question would be, so what are the target activities for this year, 2021? How are they affected by the crisis? And I would put that question into a broader context. So the starting with the mobile first aspect, has that fully worked? And do you think that's something you are going to push much harder now this year also? I mean, what are your specific plans? And maybe the other 2 panelists can also comment on that, whether you believe maybe the data aspect, maybe Leon has mentioned that, might have to come in early. So with a plan, what do we do with all the data that we are gathering?
Good, thank you, Rainer. A very good question. Okay, mobile first. Why mobile first? Okay, very good question. Mobile first means that, so we design, let's say for example, we design our service based on the citizen persona. It's based on design thinking, based on the problem statement. Mobile first means that we want to understand the citizen need. And this is one point. The second point, during the pandemic, mobile first, smart city is not about technology. Smart city is about ecosystem. Mobile first, we build the mobile first. We build Jaki as a platform ecosystem. So when we're talking about Jaki, it's not only about the application that developed by the government. It's not about government creates services. It's not about government develop services. It's about citizen create services. Mobile first means that, so it's not about the government. So, and the third point is means that why mobile first? Because so Jaki as a collaborative ecosystem is a platform for co-creator to contribute any kind of services that can be accessed easily by the citizen. And during the pandemic, let's say for example, and the smart city is about people connecting to people. We build the platform, the mobile first, to to make sure that the people can connect to people can connect into the citizen, people can connect into the government. Let's say for example, they can see any kind of problem nearby to the government by using mobile first, by using mobile device, by using Jaki. They can report any kind of complaint. Let's say for example, for the PSBB, for the lockdown, they can report any kind of problem in the office to the government by using Jaki. So the philosophy of mobile first means that we want to give better services to the citizen, and we want to engage the user, the citizen participation. That's the short answer.
Thank you. Yeah, very, very clear. Thank you, Pak Yudhis. Pak Leon, you want to comment on this? And Pak Widita also, obviously.
Yeah, thanks. That's a very interesting point actually. Mobile first, and I agree with Pak Yudhistira, because mobile penetration in Indonesia, in Jakarta, is really awesome. I mean, Indonesia is largest user of one of the largest users of mobile phones in the world, and you can get a lot of information from those applications installed in your mobile. And if the Jakarta Smart City is a platform, and there are many other co-creators that's connected to the platform, the Jakarta Smart City could actually mine a lot of data from them. So again, the issue is, what do we do with this data? How about the security and privacy? And what do we do with the data? Because do it wisely, it can give a very good information to the government. For example, you can tell like how far does a student have to travel from house to the school, and what is the transportation pattern, that the optimum transportation pattern for Transjakarta, MRT, and commuter rail, etc. But yeah, it's there. Just what do we do with it?
Sure, Pak Widita.
Yeah, I think just a quick comment. I think that is absolutely the right choice to have the mobile first strategy, and it helps a lot also during this pandemic situation. So I think that is a very good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. There are many questions coming in, and they are touching on so many issues on the general relationship between citizens and the government. We have something on data protection, public safety. We will not be able to address everything. So forgive me, everyone, that I will have to pick certain aspects that I think are recurring. And one that I see recurring is environmental protection questions. How, in so far as how is the plan envisaging also a safe environment in Jakarta? I mean, a natural environment in Jakarta. So what is it contributing to the aims of sustainable growth, reduce carbon emissions, circular economy, you know, those big topics? Could you share some thoughts with us, Pak Yudhis?
Yeah, thank you, Rainer. As I mentioned, that talking about smart city, there's a 3 value objective. It's about quality of life, the economic growth, and sustainability environment. So the sustainability environment is very interesting. So at the moment, we focus on how we develop, how we increase the citizen engagement first. And by the end, let's say, for example, when we have a good engagement with the citizen, let's say, for example, how we build the smart people, how we make our people smart. Let's say, for example, Rainer, when I was living in the UK, when I want let's say when I wanted to do vacation or holiday, normally I do check weathers. When I living here in Jakarta, I never check weathers. If I go vacation and so forth and so forth. So it's about the mindset. It's about safety data. So this is very important. When we, it's kind of like the priority. Of course, the sustainability environment is very important. This is part of our value objective. And let's say, for example, when we have, let's say, this is a good thing, Rainer, talking about the smart economy. You see that many people do shopping online, but they never thought about there's many rubbish at home. There's many boxes. When we bought something from Shopee or Tokopedia, there's many boxes left at home. So how we think about that? So this is kind of like we have to engage our citizens. How we think about that when we moving the way of thinking, we're moving our behavior of like shopping from offline to online. There's another problem coming. So of course, Jakarta's smart city vision is not only building the platform, but also to teach or to educate the people and also their behavior, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. I have two more questions that I would like to bring forward. And one would be to you, Pak Yudis, and the other one I would like to address to the other two panelists. The first one that's for Pak Yudis would be, there's a very practical question. If I am a company and I have something that I believe I can offer for the Jakarta Smart City initiative, who do I contact? How do I do that? How do I reach out? Who should I be speaking to? Before you answer, to the other two panelists, maybe you could share something about how a smart city initiative can address the question of public safety. We have that in a few questions coming up now, that people are concerned with safety. It could be traffic safety, it could be other areas. And you have consulted not only Jakarta, but other cities as well. So maybe you could contribute from your knowledge what can be done in that area. So Pak Yudis.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Rainer. So there's I would like to talk about this fancy thing, not fancy. It's kind of like, we have CCTV, we have also artificial intelligence, public safety. So if we see that many people, we have all fancy stuff, the high tech technology, so we can use our CCTV and build inside the monitor analytics, so we can give better services to the citizen. It's a kind of public safety. And the second thing is about the livable, the environment itself. So how we support the citizen is about the don'ts and do and don'ts in the city. So I think it's about how we it's about how we engage with citizens, what do and don'ts in the public services. And instead of we install many CCTVs, we install very fancy artificial intelligence. We can capture the bad guy using biometric and so forth. So we can do that. But I think I very love to do kind of like humanist by using like how we engage, how we see that the city can be smart. It's depend on the citizen. It depend on the culture. You can see in other countries. Let's say, for example, if we go to the Denmark or other city in Switzerland, there's no like crime or something like that. It depend on the culture of behavior. But if you ask about, we can use technology. Of course, we can use technology to prevent the crime and to support the safety city or safe city and something like that.
Thank you, Pat. And the other panelists? Anyone? Leon, maybe? Yeah.
What was the question again,
Public
Rainer?
safety.
Sorry.
What the
Public safety.
Public safety.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think one one thing we can see is there was one example that Widita shown is about the public street lighting system and a smart public street light. So if we currently the way that maintenance on public street lighting was done from Kluwe. So citizens, Jakartans report through Kluwe, and then soon somebody from the government, from the city, will fix the lamp, etc. Those lightings is one of the forefront in public safety. Make sure the streets are bright, so that it reduce crime, etc. So maybe if there is a partner for Jakarta Smart City that changes the public lighting into an Internet of Things, so you can automatically report if it's broken, or even add value by using those poles as, I don't know, in the future maybe a car charging point or Wi-Fi or other uses, and that not only improving public safety, but also improving the quality of life of the Jakartans.
Widita, he basically referred to your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. So I think there is a a very big potential of using smart city to increase public safety, right? So and that should and I first of all I agree with Yudhis that how to make the if a city is from the citizens side of the culture is such a way, and the behavior and so on, that makes the city safe. That is absolutely true. On the other hand, now how do we how can we apply technology to get to that? So that there's a potential of using data, the big a large set of data. So especially in city as large as Jakarta, right? So with 10 to 20 million people there around that, and I think if you look, not just looking at CCTV and the AI and stuff like that, but just looking at what are the patterns of different type of crimes, different type of safety issues, and based on that, then there could be some insight that can be made from that. I think the big problem or the big challenge there, the big challenge here is collaboration again. Right? So collaboration from different, because public safety is not a one. There's multiple stakeholders there, with the police, with the local, the neighborhood, local neighborhood, people in the neighborhood, with the Jakarta government and all that. So if all this different data can be actually put down, then I believe some insight can be seen that can be taken, that can be applied to influence how the citizen will behave in the future. Thank you.
Yeah. If I add data from, let's say, crime data, frequency, etc., the police would have the record, they would have the data, but it's not plugged into the Jakarta Smart City. And if they have, and then the question is, how do we maintain it? When do they update the data? Maybe we have a data that's already 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 months, 1 week. So it's difficult for decision makers to make decisions based on that data.
Thank you. Pak Yudhis, you also had a comment.
Yeah, Rainer, one short comment. So following what Pak Widita and Pak Leonardo mentioned about So I would say that, okay, you mentioned about the public safety. So imagine that in the Jakarta, all corner in Jakarta is been installed by CCTV with the video analytic and so forth and so forth. And of course, you are being monitored. And the next, if we have it, the next problem about people can say, what about our privacy? What and so forth and so forth. So there's many things happen. So okay, public safety means that okay, people been monitored because anything we've been recorded and so forth. But as Pak Leonardo mentioned that when we want to record all this thing, so there's another challenge. It's about infrastructure. It's a very costly to store any kind of data. So there's a data, and of course, data without context is nothing. We need to analyze. We need people to analyze those data. Those the very challenging. But I think we can go. We can do different perspective, different approach. It depends on the, as I mentioned, culture, behavior. So we can also use technology. But as I mentioned, that if we install all the corner in Jakarta by CCTV and video analytic, and the next step, people can scream that, what about my privacy? Something like that.
Thank you, Pak Yudhis. Time is always a matter here in these events, and we need to come to an end. I don't want to summarize anything because I know Chris is going to say a few words and also summarize some of the ideas that came up later. I just want to say that, you know, there are many questions that we have not answered, and some of them were referring to the app, to Jaki. And there was also this question about how to reach out. I believe, as everybody stresses, it's all about dialogue between citizens, businesses, academics, etc., and government agency. So hopefully Jaki will provide the channel and the avenue for us to interact, to share our solutions, to share our problems, but also our solutions. As it is in city government, the big topics quite often boil down to very practical questions. So while nationally we might talk about public safety, in the city we might talk about street lighting. So we always need to boil it down to really practical issues and how can we solve them. Every small step is already a big solution. So I personally want to thank our three panelists. It was a pleasure discussing with you. But I'm handing over now to BritCham Executive Director Chris Wren to say a few words at the end of this program.
Thank you, Rainer. You said you're not going to summarize, but that was a bit of a summary, which is fine. Actually, in the interest of time, I'm not going to add very much. I've also just been advised that my internet's a little bit unstable here. So what I would like to do is just comment on the fact that there is clearly a lot of interest in this particular subject and this area of development, whether it's from an environmental perspective, a commercial opportunities perspective, and we will continue to explore them through the BritCham Smart Cities member focus group. If you are on this call and you're not a member of BritCham, but you have an interest in these topics, my team will be in touch with you to discuss with you what type of membership might be most appropriate so you can access and register with this group. I'd like to thank our partner here, South Quarter, today. In particular, I would like to sincerely thank for giving time that is very, very precious to our all our panelists. And in particular, our main speaker, Pat Yudhis, thank you very, very much indeed. Clearly, there's a lot of what's going on is very, very good, but perhaps the communication of it to others can be type of initiative as well. To Pat Leon, and are you there, Pat Leon? I'm trying to.
Yes, I'm here.
Pat Leon, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, sorry, I beg your pardon. To Sorry, I think I'm having one or two problems here. Please excuse me. To all our panelists, to Wren for wonderfully navigating us through this particular section. For the first time, the team will be breaking up this particular webinar into some of the individual questions and points, so that if you don't want to have a look at the whole webinar again, but do want to be reminded of particular issues, then you'll just be able to click on that particular clip from our snapshots, which goes out on a Monday. I would just like to thank everybody for showing their interest, giving their time. BritCham will continue with a very, very active webinar program for all the while that physical contact, distancing and common sense is needed to keep us safe from COVID. With that, I wish you all being safe, being healthy, and when the time is right, to meeting up with many of you face to face as well, hopefully in the not too distant future. Thank you very much.